Have you been limiting what's possible for you? Welcome to Tools to Create a Better Life with myself, Glenyce Hughes. Thank you so much for being here. I am so incredibly grateful for each and every one of you. Yeah, we are at a house and pet sit in Wichita, Kansas. You can see one of the puppers behind me. We've got 3 mini Australian shepherds and 4 cats. I know, it sounds like it's a lot. They are a lot of fun though, and they do sleep a lot, so that is very helpful. So, have you been limiting what's possible for you? I know I have. One of the things that I have talked about for years, and I talk about in classes, on the radio show, in sessions, everywhere, because of the importance of it, is acknowledging the change, as you move forward. Acknowledge basically where you've come from to what you're choosing. And I realized that I hadn't really been doing that. And now how I realized was that I put a sale on a course that I created back in 2021. The course is called Manifest Your Money Goal Toolkit. It is phenomenal. We've had over 524 people go through it. Amazing. And as I was putting it together and writing the email for the sale, what I recognized was that it needed some upgrades. I needed to go in and make some changes. So what I'm doing, they will be ready by March 27th of 2024. And of course, there's a link above or below that you can go grab the course and get the upgrades and all the things. And so as I was looking at the course and going, wow, this needs to be changed, this needs to be updated, I've got more tools of this, I realized that I actually hadn't been acknowledging the magic of me, acknowledging the change. What I referred to it as is like up level. I've up leveled a time or a bazillion in the last 3 years. And I hadn't really acknowledged that. Not in this capacity. Many different, individual ways, but looking at that course, looking what I created back in 2021 to what I'm creating now, holy doodles. So I want to do this radio show as a reminder, especially if you have had some experience with acknowledging yourself. Because what if you could do more of it? Now, how do you do this? There's lots of ways. One of the ways that I'm going to implement, and I used to do it and then I stopped, is a reminder app on my phone. I use my reminder app for everything. And this is one of those things, so that every day I can acknowledge myself and what I'm choosing and how I'm up leveling basically. Now you might have a specific area, there might be, whether it's money related or body related or whatever, but make sure you're acknowledging it. And the other thing that does for me when I'm acknowledging regularly is that I can also see where I could make shifts or changes, or where I could have different choices available, so that it basically is where you're being present with whatever it is. And in that level of presence, what occurs is that you start to make leaps and bounds forward. Now, in the past few years, I still made those leaps and bounds forward, but it was really different. It was really different, especially I would say this last year. So this last year has been really different just for myself with living. Right? So as many of you know, we've sold everything and we now travel the world full-time, pet and house sitting. And so everything is different in my world. There's really nothing that is the same in terms of like consistently every day, this is what I do, or this is what my day looks like, or this is what Monday to Friday looks like. None of that. It just depends where we're at and if we're traveling or if we're at a sit or all the things. So it can sometimes feel like I'm, in a sense, going backwards. The best way that I can describe this, and it's an energetic description, so please know I'm using words so that I can explain it, but I'm also limited because I'm using words to explain it. So for me, when I'm choosing and I'm up leveling and going forward, movement going forward, what can occur if I'm not acknowledging it, if I'm not being present with it, is that it's almost like an elastic band. So I get so far and then I feel like I'm pulled back. I don't feel like I'm snapped back like you would with an elastic band, but pulled back. So it's like if if you're stretching it and then you let go a little bit, like that. And so when I don't acknowledgize, it's like forward, yes, but then back a little bit and back a little bit. And if I'm not being present, then it can go way back. Again, using words to describe something that words are not the best for. But that's the energy of it for me. And that's something that I hadn't even recognized until I was writing the email and looking at, wow, there's all of these changes. There's all of these things. There's so much more that I am now, that I be now, the magic that's available now that I haven't been acknowledging. So then it limits the possibilities because that elastic starts pulling back. You know what I mean? And so, really in your own life, what you might want to look at is, are there areas where it feels like the elastic is going backwards, where it feels like you're being pulled back, or maybe you even feel like you're back where you were. You felt like you had some progress, and then you feel like whatever, a month, 6 months, 2 years, you're feeling like you're back where you were previously. And so it could just be that it's about acknowledging what you had changed, what you were, the magic of you in that moment or in that time frame, and really look at where you didn't acknowledge you. And I would say for myself, one of the biggest things that is important to keep in my awareness is, where am I more in the future in terms of where am I, when I get to that, then I'll acknowledge it. Like, this is, over here is success and over here is where I'm at. So all this in between is nothing. Yeah, that's really unkind, because all this in between is magic. So even if you're not where you'd like to be, could you acknowledge where you're at? And maybe it is an acknowledging of the elastic that you've went what might feel like backwards. You're not, but it might just feel like it. So then it could be, okay, so where do you need to acknowledge it? How do you need to acknowledge it? That could look different for each one of us. Some people love to write. They love to write like a journal and acknowledge that way. Some people like to speak it. Some people like to just think about it. I mean, it doesn't matter, but how is that for you? What is the most magical way for you? What I realized for myself is that the speaking of it for me is what really contributes. And what I hadn't been doing, much like not really having a weekly radio show anymore, and I haven't for a few months, which works too, I have to say, with our schedules and our travel and all of that, it works well. Maybe not having that, kind of commitment each week, but also then I'm not speaking it as much. And if I'm not talking like on a radio show or in classes or different things like that, then I'm probably not speaking it. But then I'm also not acknowledging it. So what needs to be done? What do I need to put in place so that becomes something? And whether, I set up with an accountability friend, or it doesn't matter. There's just so many different ways that we can, so that we can actually be aware of the magic of ourselves, and then stop limiting what's possible. Stop, pretending like we haven't created a bunch of magic, or just because we're not where we think we should be, or where we think we're supposed to be, or where somebody else thinks we should be, that we still acknowledge the magic and what we have chose. And then maybe we've chose things that didn't turn out the way that we thought they would. And then we spend a lot of time spinning in the judgment. What if we stop that? What if we truly, truly, truly start acknowledging that, hey, I actually made a choice. I took action. Didn't turn out the way I'd like it. I have way more information now. So one of the things with pet sitting that, it's been almost a year. June will be, or I guess July will be a year, so I'm not sure how many months that is. But with each one, we've learned something about what we like. We wouldn't have known. If you'd have asked me back in July, I wouldn't have known 95% of what I know now. Now, we did some pet house sits before July, before we did that full time. But doing it full time has given us so much more information, and we're so much more aware of it. Now, it's interesting because with it, I don't sit and spin in judgment of me like, oh, why did I choose this? And, oh, I should have known. And no, I have grace with myself in terms of like, wow, I didn't know how much nicer it is if I'm going to do pet sits in Canada in the winter to not have dogs that are on leashes. Yeah, let me tell you, when you can just open the door and let them outside in the winter because they have a big fence or they have a big acreage or whatever it is, that's a dream come true, my sweet friends, compared to, needing to dress yourself up in layers and layers and then leash them and walk, all the things. But I didn't know that. Now, I could have probably guessed that one because I'm not a huge fan of winter, says a Canadian. But you get the idea. There's just been little things that we are so much more aware of now. And the super cool thing is because we've got so many sits under our belt, so to speak, we have so many, we've received a 5-star review. Everybody's been super happy with us. We get multiple requests to come back. I mean, I'm so grateful. Now, with all of that, we actually have the space to be picky. We can say, okay, we would like this and this and this. And at this point, when we first started, I mean, I would just apply and basically, wait for them to choose us. And now we get to be the choosing ones. I know the value of us pet sitting and house sitting. I know that now. Whereas when we were first starting out, it was like, we were just learning it, I guess. And now I know that. And it's like taking that energy and being that in every area of my life. So would you be willing to start acknowledging, or maybe you're like me and you didn't do a great job over the last little while, and really start again, acknowledging the magic of you and what you have chose and what you have created. Yeah, because isn't it time, my sweet friends, isn't it time? If you would like to join us for the Up-Leveled Manifest Your Money Goal Toolkit, then check out the link above or below. We've got the upgrades coming by March 27th of 2024. And then we also have a live call on April 16th for a Q&A basically for people as they go through it. So would love to have you join. If you were one of the people who pre-purchased, who already has the course, check your email because you've got all the newness as if by magic. Have a great week, sweet friends. I look forward to chatting again soon.